everyone, welcome back to another episode. Sorry for the delay, I was having some technical difficulties, but we are up and going. I have myself set up in a new area, so I think the lighting is a little bit better. So today the game that we're playing is Scoville. So it's a game by TMG, Tasty Minstrel Games. It's a fantastic game and one that plays up to 6 players that isn't a party game. So this one is awesome for larger groups. I just absolutely love this game. Oh, let's get that back up there. So I've got my little workers here set up. So basically I have the board set up right now to accommodate up to 6 players, but the board is really clear on how you cut down the amount of players. So if you actually see here on the board, up at the top here, there's little people. Let me see if I can just move this down for a close-up here. So there's these little people on the board that show you what you do at 2-player, 3-player, 4, 5, and 6. On the other side of the board over here, you'll see the same thing. Okay, so why don't we get started? So I'll show you a bit of setup. So what you're going to do for each player, you're each going to get one of these little boards that you're going to use to conceal your peppers as well as your resources or money in the game. Let me just check here. Sorry, just one quick second. I just want to make sure the chat is actually working today because it was not working the other day. Order. There we go. Okay, we got it working. Perfect. Okay, so each player will get one of these player boards or more of like a concealer, and they come in 6 different colors, and this one does come with a purple one. So you're going to take the matching player token as well as the turn order token in the matching color. Each player will get 1 of 3 of these special ability tokens, and I'll be going through those as well as a pepper of each color of the basic peppers, so a yellow, a red, and a blue. And then you'll also get 10 coins. So in the game, we are going to be bidding for turn order, so coins are important. So you'll get coins in a couple different ways, and I'll explain that as I go through the game. For the first setup of the game, you're not going to need to bid for turn order. You just randomly put them in your hand, each player token, and then randomize the turn order. As well as the peppers here in the center of the board. So right now I have a red and a yellow pepper. When I was setting up, I put 1 of each pepper in there and selected 2 to start in the middle next to this star here. So the game also comes with these fantastic little aid sheets. So this one is the one that came in the base game, and this is the one that came in the expansion. So there are a couple different ways that you can look to see what type of peppers will generate based on what you're walking in between. But I love this one. I mean, if you remember math in school at all, I mean, it's simple. If you crossbreed a blue with a blue, you'll get 2 blue. If you crossbreed a yellow with a blue, you'll get green. Also, if you know color theory, I mean, it helps as well. So just follow whichever one you're breeding, and I'll explain that as well. But these little aids are fantastic, so give 1 of those to each player. On the reverse side, it's also going to have you, or have outlined specifically every step of the game. So it's such a fantastic aid to have. And the icons on the game are amazing when it comes to setup too. It's really not a difficult game to follow along to. Okay, so once everybody has their tokens, their money, their peppers, each player is going to take a turn going through the different phases down here at the bottom. So the first phase of the game is the auction. So that's this up here. So if you're playing 6 players, again, you have these little icons. You'd put up 6 of the morning auction. And then when we get to the afternoon, if we get to the afternoon, you'll also have the afternoon auction. So blue versus green. And then we have recipes. And that's the whole objective of the game, is you're trying to create peppers to turn in for these recipes. And that's how you're going to get the majority of your victory points. So at the start of the game over here on the side, if you're playing a 6-player game, you'll have 24 recipes to vie for. So I'm going to go ahead and set up here the auction. And this will also help you determine each turn which turn order you want to go in. So you'll notice on the bottom of the board here, there are 3 separate phases. So planting, harvesting, and fulfillment. Now at the bottom there, you'll notice that planting goes forward. Harvesting goes in reverse turn order, which is why the arrow is pointing back. And then fulfillment goes in the same turn order. Now, if you wanted to harvest first, you would have to place your token in the last spot. So that's where bidding for turn order comes into place, because if you're really wanting that harvest first, then you have to put yourself in last place, but that means you're going to plant last and you're going to fulfill last. So the recipes that you might really want might not be there at that point. So very important to keep that in mind. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. Okay, so once setup is done, again, like I said, the first turn of the game, you're not going to bid for turn order, so it's completely random. So in this case, purple is going first, and they would select a pepper up here from the auction, or a pepper card, I should say, and then take the appropriate amount of peppers. So in this case, this first one here would give you 2 peppers. The second would, or 2 blue peppers, I'm sorry. The second one would give you a blue and a yellow. And then a purple, a red, a yellow, or a blue. So you would decide what you want to take. The purple peppers are a little bit rarer, so you need to breed 2 different colors together, my apologies, to get a purple, whereas the other ones here are just basic peppers. So select one of your cards as the first player, and you'd go through the turn order. Everybody would select their peppers, and that would become a part of your pool that you would add to the 3 that I gave everybody at the start. Now, after that, in turn order, everybody would go through planting. So planting is where you will select one of your hidden peppers to plant on the board. So planting a pepper has to go adjacent to a current pepper. So I couldn't start a pepper field over here in the corner and make my way over there. That's not how it works. So it would have to be next to an existing pepper. And then on your turn, so you'd plant. So I'm the purple player. I'm going to plant a blue pepper there. Because I might look on my player aid here and see that I want to make a green pepper, which is between blue and yellow. Now, if I really wanted to collect, let's say, 2 yellow peppers, instead of planting blue, I might plant 2 yellow next to each other. Now, if you're looking on your player aid, you'll see that yellow and yellow will make 2 yellow. So you need to kind of plan your turn to see what you might want for available recipes, and then decide what you're planting at that point. Also, harvesting order is important too, because if you're blocked off from a certain pepper, then you might not be able to get there. So you're going to plant in turn order going forward as it's shown by the arrow on the bottom. So purple, I'm just going to simulate what this might look like. So purple will plant, and then let's get yellow to plant, and then orange. So orange is going to go crazy and plant a purple pepper. Now, during this phase here, you'll see at the bottom there are these plaques. These are achievements that you get for planting peppers. So in this case, the orange player planted a purple pepper, they would get one of these plaques worth 2 victory points. So they would just take that during the planting phase. And then it would continue. So then blue would plant, let's say blue plants a blue pepper. And then red is going to plant, let's say, let's get another blue pepper here next to this purple one. And then lastly, green is going to plant, let's say that they took a yellow, so they'll plant a yellow pepper. Let's just say. I'm just making it up on the go. Okay. So that's sort of what your planting phase would look like. The game is spicy. It's super, super, super spicy. Okay. So that's your planting phase. Now you're going to go through harvesting phase, which is your second phase of the game. That's where you actually use your workers. So these are your workers. And in turn order, you're going to add your worker to the board for the first one. Otherwise, going forward, wherever your worker is on the board, that's where it is. So for the first turn, you're going to start on the star. And you can see also that your worker has either is going to be looking forward or looking back. So that's also the direction that you're walking in. Hello, Power Ranger Jenna. So in this case, the green player will start harvesting. So they're going to start in the red spot and they decide to walk here. So it's worth noting you get 3 movements on your turn. Now, those special tokens that I gave you at the start, actually, I should talk about those for just a quick second here, because they do allow you special abilities. So there is a move, 1 extra space, plant, 1 extra pepper, and double back. So during that initial planting phase, you could have planted or used this to plant an extra pepper if you wanted to. Hi, Power Ranger Jenna. This game is called Scoville, so it's a game about planting hot peppers or peppers and then harvesting them to turn them in for different recipes. So different recipe cards here, and then they'll be worth victory points. In this case, this one's worth 6 victory points. But there's going to be a bunch of them available, and they all require different types of peppers. Now, based on the type of pepper in them, the recipes are a little bit hotter, so they're worth more points. So this one here is called Bump in the Night, and it requires 2 ghost peppers, 2 dead peppers, and 2 green peppers. So you're essentially traveling around the board, planting peppers and harvesting them so that you can turn them in for these victory points. It's a hot game. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so we went through the planting phase already. So I simulated what it would look like if everybody took a turn planting. And then now we're going through the harvesting phase. So harvesting, as I mentioned, goes in reverse turn order. So it'll start with the green player going all the way to the purple player. Now, harvesting, you get to move up to 3 spaces. With the this special token, you can move an extra space, a 4th space. I don't have notifications on. I don't know what half of that stuff means. I'm still trying to figure this Twitch thing out. But thank you. What does hosting mean? Does that mean that you're showing me on your channel? But so anyway, so here, the other one that you can do during the harvesting phase is double back. And that's why the direction of your walker, or your worker, I should say, is important, because the worker can only go in one direction unless you play one of your double back. And then if you play that, then you can actually turn your worker around and go in the opposite direction. Otherwise, you're stuck going in one direction. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys stick around. Xander, you need to go. Baba, go. Sorry, my dogs got loose.
Xander, let's go. He's not going to listen, Jenna, and I'm not getting this. Come on, let's go. Come on, all right, fuck it. Good luck.
Just put it right there.
Right where?
Right there so he can't walk back in there, Jessica. Sorry, guys. Yeah. They wanted to come out and be part of it.
There's dirty dates all over the table, so.
So anyways, as I was saying, in the harvesting phase, you're going to do the harvesting phase in reverse turn order. Now, you came here from Jesse's stream. Is that the Heart Board Games? Well, like I said, I appreciate you guys coming here. Hopefully you can learn how to play Scoville and enjoy it just as much as I do. So as you're harvesting, you get to move your worker 3 spaces. Every pepper that you pass in between generates a pepper for you. So if you're walking, so you would start in this position here, and between a red and a yellow, again, if you look on your board, you're going to cross-reference red with yellow will give you an orange pepper. You would grab that from the supply and then add it to your behind your screen. Then let's say that he wants to go here and he cross-references a red with a purple. That'll give a dead pepper. So you're going to grab a brown pepper here and add it to your screen. That's the dead pepper. And then lastly, he has another move, so he can choose to either go between 2 blue or he can choose to go between a blue and a red. So 2 blue will give you 2 blue peppers, or he can choose to go between blue and red, which will give a purple pepper. So now remember at the bottom, basic peppers will not give you any of these bonus tokens, only some of the advanced peppers. So he might want to take the purple one in favor of gaining victory points down on the bottom. Otherwise, if he really wants some blue peppers for a recipe, let's say, then he might want to take that. So it really completely depends on what you're looking for and what you're going for. So let's just say I'm going to take 2 blue. So that continues in reverse turn order until it comes back to the purple player. Now, everybody's going to be on the board at some point, and you can see how early on it'll get congested, because as each player gets added, you cannot cross through or over another worker. That means that this green worker is blocking this purple worker from coming here. So the purple worker might be forced to go around something or end up here, let's say, and not get any peppers because there's no 2 peppers in between. Praetorian, you should really buy it. Honestly, it's such a fantastic game, and if you ever have larger player counts, it's a really good game that isn't a party game that plays fantastically at 6 players. So, all right, so hypothetically speaking, let's say that the board is all full here and everybody has gotten a turn. Now, it's possible that not everybody will be able to do 3 movements. And it's also possible that that a player may get no moves at some point in the game. If they're completely blocked off, they unfortunately skip the harvest action. They just don't get to do it at all. Do I have the pizza game? I don't have a pizza game. Do you mean the New York Slice game? No, I don't have that one. I don't think I actually have any pizza games, to be honest with you. So once you've gone through harvesting, you're going to go through, collect all your peppers, hide them behind your screen, and then you're going to go into fulfillment. Now, you can see on the bottom here, yeah, New York Slice, I think, is the pizza game you're talking about. I played it at Origins, but I wasn't really a fan of it, so it's not something that I think would get played a lot here. So there's no point in me buying it. Okay, so lastly, you're going to go through and do fulfillment. So again, fulfillment, you have the yellow arrow pointing forward, sorry. So you're going to complete that in the normal turn order, not reverse turn order. So fulfillment is where you will get the opportunity to turn in your peppers for 1 recipe and or 1 market card. So this stack of morning market cards are going to come out at the beginning when you set them up. So they have a bunch of different things here, and it's basically like your farmer's market. So I'm just going to put 3 of them out here just to show you. As an example, this one here wants 3 red peppers, and in exchange, you will get 2 orange peppers, $2, and a victory point. Now, similarly, this one here wants 3 yellow, and you'll get 2 green, 2 coin, and a victory point, or 3 blue for 2 purple, 2 coins, and a victory point. So they're all different, and you're able to claim 1 of each. So 1 of the market cards and or 1 of the recipe cards. Now you can do this in any order that you want. So for instance, if you really needed 1 of these types of peppers and didn't have them, but the marketplace card offered you a way to get them. So this is a good example of this. This marketplace card wants 3 yellow peppers for 2 green. Now, this recipe card also requires 2 green. So it would be a good chance to turn in or sell your peppers at the market to get the peppers that you need for the recipe. And again, you can do it in whichever order you want to, but it's a nice way to sort of to get around peppers getting peppers that you don't have. So after everybody's gone through fulfillment, everybody gets 1 turn at doing that, or 1 option to buy one or the other, sorry. And then you also have an opportunity to sell peppers. So let's say for whatever reason you were really stuck on the board and you collected a lot of a certain color and that you don't see needing them, or that you just really need money for the auction phase in the first phase of the game. In the fulfillment phase, you can sell 1 type of pepper and up to 5 peppers. And the way that those are valued is if you look on the board here, each 2 peppers will generate $1 for a matching pepper. So in the case on the board here, blue is worth $1, yellow is worth $1 because there isn't a 4th one, red is worth $1, and purple is worth nothing. So you can't, you would basically sell them for nothing, so there's no point. But I have 3 blue peppers behind my screen. So during fulfillment phase, I could take the opportunity to sell these 3 peppers for $1 a piece. Would I like to be a pepper? I don't know. I'm kind of a spicy pepper already. But no, in all fairness, I really hate spicy food, so this game is kind of funny. I can't handle spicy food at all. I'm the whitest girl you'll ever meet. Okay, so let's get these workers back out on the field here. The only thing I do have to say about the board is that it's kind of like a puzzle piece, and it doesn't sit quite flat where they join, so your little guys tend to topple over sometimes, but that's not the end of the world. So then you would then check at the end to see if you are going to stay in the morning phase. So there's morning and then there's afternoon, like I explained. So the afternoon is the green cards. Now, if you check, or what you check first is your recipes. So make sure that there are at least the same amount of recipes that there are players. If that's the case, then you'd move on to the afternoon phase. If there are not, or if there are less, recipes than there are players, you would immediately skip the afternoon phase, do 1 final round, and then that would be the end of the game. Now, if the other check is the market cards. So again, there are 2 of them. So like I said, there are market cards and then there are recipe cards. So first check to see if there are recipes in the amount that is equal to the amount of players. If there's less than that, you skip the evening phase, or afternoon phase. You wouldn't even put these green ones out, and you'd finish the round and that'd be it. Now, if there are enough recipe cards, then you check to see the market cards. So if there are fewer market cards out than there are players, then you go to the afternoon phase. So the only time that you would skip the afternoon phase is if there weren't enough recipe cards for the amount of players. And then what that entails is you just remove all of the cards on the board from the morning phase, so the blue cards. And then you would add the afternoon cards to it, including the auction cards and the marketplace cards. So you'd swap those out for the afternoon phase. The recipes would stay out the same. Those recipes are fixed for the game. They don't swap out. They don't get added to. They just are there for the entire game. So these would then go away for the following phase. You would place out 6 more in a 6-player game, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, not one. You can't play one player in this game, but you can play 2 or 3. So depending on how many there are players, but I have it set up for 6, so we're going to go 6. Now in the afternoon phase, you'll notice that the rarer peppers are the ones that are up for auction. And that's mostly because you're further along in the game, so it makes sense. But also in that regard, it's much harder to fulfill and or sell basic peppers because they're much harder to come by, unless you have a situation like we have here on the board where there are 2 blues and 2 yellows next to each other. So if the game started out where people weren't planting those colors next to each other, then it can be really difficult to get those basic peppers. So game continues. So this is where we take the bidding into account. So the first round of the game, we did not do that. Now, every round going forward, you're going to take your money, hide it in your hand, and you're going to, conceal and then reveal, like Elsa does. And whatever you've bid is gone. Like, you don't get to keep it if you don't get first place. So these guys move up here to this track here, and then based on turn order, the player who bid the most amount of money gets to choose their spot. They don't automatically go in first place because, like I mentioned earlier, if you really want to harvest first, then you need to go last. So let's say the purple decides, no, I really want to harvest first, so I'm going to go in the 6th place. And then you go forward and go through them. And then based on turn order, you're going to decide, you're going to go through the rounds the same way. So again, planting, you go in the regular turn order. Harvesting, you go in reverse turn order. And then fulfillment, you go in the regular turn order again. Now, all the rounds going forward play exactly the same way, so that's really the only difference is that bidding for turn in the first one. In my experience, sometimes harvesting, going first, harvesting earlier in the game is more important because you can get blocked off really easily from some good pepper areas. And then you can also plan your... You can plan your turns sometimes a little easier, but if you go last, people might have cleared out of some of those earlier spots. So it really depends on the placement of the peppers on the board. You kept getting beat out on getting the recipes. Yeah, sometimes that's why, fulfillment going first is important because whoever is in the first turn order gets to fulfill first. So bidding for turn order is really important. So that's why being able to fulfill these market cards and or just selling extra peppers during the fulfillment phase is also very important because without any money, you're going to be stuck going last every time, which can be okay for harvesting, but for everything else, you're going to go last. Well, that doesn't help either. So sometimes you got to pay up. I mean, it's just part of the game. So based on bid order, you're going to select the pepper type up here at the auction and then choose your turn order. Collect your peppers like you did in the first round. And then we're going to go through the phases again. So planting again goes first. So yellow would then plant their pepper first. So at this point, let's say that he plants a dead pepper. So down here on the bottom, you would then take one of these plaques worth 5 points. So he then gets 5 victory points for the end of the game. So planting first is important too because, as you can see, other than the first stack, these plaques go down in value as you're planting. So the first one is worth 5, then 4, then 3. You didn't want to use money for bidding. Well, I mean, the points for money aren't that, I shouldn't say they aren't that much. They're worth, at the end of the game, every 3 coins is worth 1 victory point. So you can get a decent amount from keeping money. But like I said, if you're always going last, you're never going to be able to fulfill those recipes ahead of other people, which can be, I think, more damaging. Because realistically, if you think, this 22 pointer, to get 22 points in coins, you would need $66, which will never happen in the game. So you have to weigh the pros and the cons. Typically when I'm bidding, especially as it's getting close to the end, if I'm, let's say, going to have 2 coins left over, well, 2 isn't worth anything, so I'll throw the extra 2 in on my bid, and then that way it'll bump me up a little bit, and I'm not technically losing out on any victory points. So the game goes through again, everybody plants. So we're gonna go ahead and plant some things here. Just so you can see, again, when you're planting, it has to be adjacent to another pepper. So I couldn't move a pepper all the way over here and plant in this corner and try and, you know, walk away and monopolize a specific corner. So I'm going to go ahead and just plant and plant and plant. And then let's say somebody decided to plant a black or a white pepper. Remember, you take your plaque down at the bottom if there's still one there. And there are these fabulous ghost peppers, which you can also plant, but people tend to hold on to them more than anything. But planting a ghost pepper is worth 12 victory points, so it's a viable planting strategy. But look at how beautiful these guys are. So these are ghost peppers, and they are sparkly acrylic little peppers. They are so beautiful. And these are required for some of the higher valued recipes. So in this case, this bump in the night, that recipe requires 2 ghost peppers, 2 dead peppers, and 2 green peppers. So they're hard to come by, they're hard to spend, but they are worth a ton of money if you can trade them in for one of those recipes. All right, so let's get a ghost pepper out here. Boop, let's just say for fun. I don't know that anybody would do this on the second round. Well, I don't think that anybody would have a ghost pepper on the second round, but and then again, so we went through planting, then we go through harvesting. So harvesting, again, you're going to walk around, and every time that you walk in between 2 peppers, you're going to collect that pepper type. So refer to your reference sheet here. It's a fantastic reference sheet. It tells you what you're going to get. In the case of dead peppers, anything they are planted next to generates nothing. So or generates a dead pepper, my apologies. If a dead pepper is next to a basic pepper, in this case you get nothing. So the only way to generate a dead pepper is to either have 2 dead peppers next to each other. I'm sorry, let me move this up. So you can see here a dead pepper and a dead pepper will generate 2 dead peppers, or having a primary pepper next to a secondary pepper. So a blue pepper next to a purple pepper will generate a dead pepper. Now, it's a fairly easy board to follow along to. Now, if we look down here on the bottom, the way to get a ghost pepper is by crossbreeding a black and a white pepper. So we have that over here on the board that I just placed. Now during harvesting, it might be worth it for me to get no pepper, or you know, a dead no pepper, and then over here I'll get a ghost pepper. Now the other way to get ghost peppers, as you would imagine, is by having 2 ghost peppers next to each other. If you walk in between a spot with 2 ghost peppers, as indicated on the board down here in the very bottom corner, you will get, as you can imagine, 2 ghost peppers. So that's huge. I don't think I've ever seen people plant 2 ghost peppers next to each other. And I've seen people plant ghost peppers very rarely because, like I said, they are worth so much. The first one is worth 12 points, but the next one is only worth 8. So oftentimes after the first one is planted, I don't really see people plant them. And then again, you go through your harvesting and then fulfillment in reverse order. So fulfillment, again, you can turn in 1 recipe and 1 marketplace card, either or. It doesn't have to be both. After you've done that, you'll go through and follow on here again. You're going to time check. So now we are in the afternoon phase. So when we time check, we check to see if there are fewer market cards or recipe cards than there are players. So much like in the first one, if there are fewer recipe cards or fewer marketplace cards, then the game will have one more round. You'll finish fulfillment, and then the game will end. If for whatever reason there are less recipe cards and marketplace cards, the game ends immediately. So there is no other turn. So if you think that somebody might have a next big turn, or if they're set up to get something really good, you might want to end the game right away. To do that is by making sure that there are less market cards and less recipe cards in both stacks than there are players. One thing I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, on the reverse side of those special tokens that you get at the start, they're each worth 4 victory points. So use them very wisely. 4 victory points, or in this case 12 for all 3, are really hard to come by. Like, that's a pretty decent recipe. So you want to make sure that you're not using them frivolously. So make sure that when you're doubling back or taking an extra step or planting an extra pepper, that it's not... that it's really worth it. And keep in mind, one of the things about the planting an extra pepper is that you can only claim one of these plaques on the bottom here once per turn. So if I claimed a black one, I couldn't use that token to then play a white or to plant a white pepper and then claim the white plaque. You can only claim one per turn. And then what you do at the end is you're going to count up, if that's the end of the game, you're going to count up points on your recipe cards, which are up here at the top. And then you're going to count up any points here on your market cards, which are found here on the bottom. So anything with a flame on it. And then you're going to count up points from the backs of your special tokens, plaques as well. And lastly, you're going to count up the amount of money that you have, and for each $3 that you have is worth 1 victory point. So in this case, I have $10, so that would be an additional 3 victory points. And the person with the most victory points wins. If there is ever a tie for victory points, the person who has the most amount of money wins. So in the case of a tie, it is important to have the most amount of money. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to break that tie. So money can be worth something, but bidding, in my opinion, is worth more than keeping money for the potential of a tiebreaker. But like I said, this game is fantastic. It plays so well at 6 players, and actually I tend to have more fun at a higher play count for this game. And it's not too often that you'll find really good solid games that aren't I shouldn't say it's really hard. I have plenty of 6-player games, but it's a fantastic game for 6 players, and these player aids are amazing. It completely outlines step by step every single thing that you do. The board's icons are fabulous. They tell you how you have to set up the game, how many of these plaques to remove if you have 2 or 3 players. It's just really, really fantastic. So I would say that if you don't have this game, it is absolutely worthwhile having in your collection. If you are playing at a lower player count, I mean, the game still works, but to me it's not as fun because there isn't any conflict on the board. So in a game like this, you kind of want more players because then you can block people off. You can, your bidding for turn order is more effective when you know that you're gonna have to wait 4 turns to do fulfillment. And then also I wanted to, so lower player count is okay, it's playable, but it's not ideal. I kind of like sitting at the 4, 5, and 6 range is when this game really shines for me. The other thing that they did come out with was an expansion, so it's called The Lab, and each player gets one of these. So this is their own little recipe board in their color, and they can plant their own peppers in here and collect them for when they plant them. So you would place a pepper on your board like this, and then whatever you plant next to it is what you would generate. So there's no one walking around on this board. You just generate peppers when you plant them. Now, that's fantastic because you can kind of use your higher valued peppers to generate some good peppers, but once it's planted, it won't ever generate again. So it's not like you can go through and harvest again. It's really only when you're planting it. They also came out with a whole bunch of new recipe cards as well, and you can differentiate them by the little lab symbol on the bottom there. And some of these names are just like hilarious. Like this one, this one here, I don't know if you can see that, is called Mo Peppa's Mo Problems. I just like, God, I love this game. It's so fucking funny. So anyways, the expansion adds that, and then it also added more of the marketplace cards as well, just for additional things that you can do, different setup, or not really different setup. Well, I guess it's different setup, but yeah, you can differentiate them by the little labs here down on the bottom. So whenever you're playing without that, you can take these guys out. And that's how you play Scoville. So hopefully this brought to light a new game that you will love just as much as I love. I play it as much as I can. And the component quality is fantastic. I mean, all these little peppers are wooden pieces. And then, as I said, the little, the plastic ghost peppers are fantastic. My only qualm, I would say, and then that's also probably because there is a bidding process in the game, is that the money tokens are really small. So I would have liked for those to be a little bit bigger, but I guess if you're bidding, you kind of want something small and compact in your hand. But yeah, if you have any questions, or if I missed something, or if you just want to leave me some feedback about what you'd like me to play next time or show you how to play, just leave some information there in the comments and I'll answer. As always, this is going to go over to YouTube after, so you're more than welcome to go back and look over it after. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Board Dame, and I do these weekly. And that is everything. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate the people that got brought over. I need to figure out how to set up notifications. I really appreciate Heartboard Games that did that, because it's always nice to have more viewers. So again, thank you so much, and let me know what worked, what didn't. This is all a learning process for me, so I just enjoy teaching, and I hope that you enjoy learning. So thanks again, and I'll see you next week.